So we're not going to have a call-in? Good evening and welcome again to Ideas at Work and Beyond. My TV viewers out there, do you see this cord? This cord is normally attached to a telephone. And when you call in, we can have that interaction. We can have that telephonic relationship that I've grown to enjoy on these Thursday nights. Interactive here at Ideas at Work and Beyond. You can call in. But you know what? Our crack team, it's just come to my attention that the phone is there, and it will be plugged in soon, so you'll be able to join us. The phone number here at Ideas at Work and Beyond is 792-4101, and we want to hear from you this evening. This past week, I went and saw a movie starring Nicolas Cage. I like Nicolas Cage as an actor. It sort of has gritty realism. A lot of the themes of his movies are somewhat dark and sort of intellectual. I like his movies. There's a new movie out this week called Knowing. And basically the plot of the movie is this MIT professor struggling with the concept of, is all of this just some sort of an accident? Are we an accident of a godless cosmos? Or is there some order to the universe? Is there someone who's in charge and knows what's going on in the universe? And he gets a series of numbers, and the movie goes on, and in the end, he determines that yes, there is some knowledge, some knowing in the universe, something that you can know. Well, tonight my guest is John D. Pasquale. And John D. Pasquale is, first of all, a good friend of mine, and he has found that we aren't just an accident of a godless cosmos. That the way that we were formed was a result of a creation by a creator. And not only that, but John has come to realize that we can have a personal relationship with this God we're talking through Jesus Christ. And not only that, but as a result of having this relationship with Christ, he can come into your life, change your life, forgive you, give you an entirely new life, and it will also affect your relationships in your life. And that's what he's here to talk about, because John wrote a book called 10. And the basics of the book 10 is talking about the 10 ways that you can improve your relationship with your loved one, with your spouse. And so now, without any further ado, now that we got these wires hooked up, we've got phones, we got mics, we got lights, I want to welcome you, John.
Thank you. It's great.
To Ideas at Work and Beyond.
Thank you. Great.
Thanks so much. I mean, this is cable access television.
It's wonderful.
And you just see it, and it sort of unfolds naturally. All of a sudden, the lights come on, and here we are.
Okay.
But I was struck by that movie, Knowing. And
I haven't seen it yet.
It's really, really good, because he's like an astronomy professor at MIT, and he talks about the sun and the earth, and how the earth is perfectly positioned. If it was a mile closer, we'd burn up. If it was a mile further away, we'd all freeze to death. If the tilt or the axis of the Earth wasn't just so, life as we know it wouldn't have been possible. Did all this just happen? Was it all an accident?
Yeah.
We're going into the holiday seasons. We have Easter coming up, and we're going to show some of the different service times at Walnut Hill Community Church. But anyways, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
The book is 10.
Yes.
Transforming Life Series, Capturing the Heart of Your Wife. How did you come to write this book?
That's it.
And I promise to be quiet.
Okay. It is an interesting story. I've been married 40 years, and in any relationship over 40 years, there certainly is ups, there's downs, there's challenges and difficult times. And probably about in 2003, I went on a men's retreat, and the fellow who was hosting it challenged us with what would be the prayer request that would radically change your life. And as a matter of fact, I still have the 3x5 file card. You can see it's really
a bit tattered.
Tattered, but the prayer request, you could read it. You could read it.
Prayer request, that I will make my wife a treasure.
A treasure, yeah.
And this is from 6/27/03.
03.
That was your prayer request?
That was my prayer request.
Before the weekend or as a result of the weekend?
In the weekend, in the weekend while I was there. And that came out of the fact that at that stage of our life, separating or getting a divorce, those kind of options were totally off the table. But the idea that you're going to live the rest of your life with the woman that you married, why couldn't it be the very best? Why should it just be average?
Now, and you'd been married for how long at this point?
At that time, probably 34 years.
Okay.
All right. And so that was my prayer. And it was interesting, but 6 months, back in October of that year, I'm in the health club at Ridgefield, and I bump into a guy named Richard. I'll leave his last name out for purposes, but we became good friends. Okay. But Richard was a very successful attorney who had made a lot of money in real estate. And he had this great plan of that if he found the 10 things to buy a building, buy a home, he would do one every day until he would purchase that property.
Okay.
And it was very methodical. And I remember when I was listening to Richard talk, he was really ticking me off. And I told him that. I told him he just really annoyed me, because at that time in my life, I was really not looking for materialism to satisfy those inner needs. Actually, I was reading a book called Search for Significance, where my significance would be something far greater than material things. Well, as I'm walking out of this health club, I just shot up a quick prayer. And I think the phone is coming in.
Yeah, no.
And the quick prayer was, like, Lord, that was an interesting conversation, and I know things don't happen by accident. How could this ever be useful for me? And all of a sudden, this thought came into my mind, is that the concept was great, but the object was wrong. And all of a sudden, it clicked, is that the object was wrong. If I could come up with the 10 things that would capture the heart of my wife, that would make sense. So in the next 48 hours...
So the book he was writing, or the concept he had, was 10 things to buy commercial property. And you thought, well, that's fine.
Acquiring wealth.
10 steps towards success.
Right.
You were looking for 10 steps towards significance.
Yes.
In your relationship.
In my relationship with my wife, yeah. And within a 48-hour period, all of a sudden, these 10 things started to come. And I said, wow, and I wanted to experiment with it. So for 6 months, without telling my wife anything, I just did these 10 things. I did one a day. So like step number 1, I did on the first. Step number 2 on the second. And over a 6-month period, without telling her anything, but doing these steps, one evening, she said to me, I want to tell you, John, that I love you now more than I have in the past 20 years.
Wow.
And that was huge, because my wife is not one to just give out compliments. So that was a major, major deal. So what I did was I made a copy of these 10 things, and when I was traveling, I had territory from New York to LA and the US. I had multiple copies, and you always get in conversations on the airplanes, at least I do, and it's amazing on how many guys...
You're the guy that you sit next to on the airplane that gets... No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, but... I'm going to say well over 50% of the time, if you're talking on an airplane and you're on a long trip, it gets to kids, wife, family, and it always focuses around marriage and relationships. And I would say, hey, you know, I've used these 10 things. You know, give me $1 and you could have a list.
Okay.
And the reason I charged $1 because it had to have some value.
Sure.
So over the course of about a year.
Hold on 1 second, because I want to jump in. I don't want to steal your thunder, but for those of you watching on, the 10 things, you might want to write this down. Ladies, you might want to write this down for your husband. The 10 things towards a better marriage. First, listen to her. Second, we're going to go through these in depth. Second, value her. She's a priority. This is talking about your wife. Third, spend time with her. She's a priority. 4, acknowledge her worth. Say it. I've read this book. It's brilliant. 5, laugh and enjoy her more. 6, accept her as she is. Don't try to change her. Number 7, show her compassion. Number 8, enjoy life together. 9, don't criticize her. Appreciate her. And number 10, do things for her that mean something to her.
Yes.
Okay, because I got my wife tickets. They had the professional wrestling at the Danbury Arena. I mean, it was going to be great, and I got her the tickets, but that didn't.
You must have been before you read the book.
Yeah, I hadn't got it. It was the 10th one. It was the last chapter.
You get a pass on that, you know.
Okay, so you tried these 10 things with your wife.
Yes, and then I would.
But you didn't tell her.
No, no.
Okay, okay.
And so then I did it over a 6-month period, you know, just giving it out to guys on the airplane. Right. And I'll never forget, I gave one guy my business card, which I normally don't do, but I got an email, and it said, John, I've been doing this thing for 3 months. It's revolutionized my marriage. Thank you so much. Wow. And I got a kick out of it, and I would share it with more guys. And then probably about a year after that, I'm getting on a plane to L.A., and I just sensed this inner voice saying, I want you to write about it, you know. And I go, wow. And I said, the way of testing that out is that from New York to L.A., I wrote the introduction to the first chapter. It just flowed. It just really flowed. And what was interesting, in the next year, 9 of the chapters were written in the air. And 1 was written in a hotel room in Louisville. But I even tried, because I didn't even want to tell my wife I was writing about it. I wanted to know. She didn't even know anything about it at this time. The book, the whole deal. She's totally in the dark, just really receiving how it's working. And even when, you know, she would go to work and I would try to do a chapter at home, it just didn't flow. So it was all up in the air, and then 1 in Louisville.
But 30,000 feet, it's flowing.
It's flowing.
All right, well, let me ask you, and I don't mean to get too personal. I mean, we're only on television here, but
that's all right.
It's only me and you. Yes, it's just me and you. Just ignore everything else. What brought you to that point in your marriage? What do you married 34 years now?
At that time.
At that time. Yeah. Where was your marriage headed? What brought you to this epiphany?
I could tell you that it was good. But
marriage was already good.
It was good, but it wasn't great.
Okay.
And you know, if you're going to spend another minute or an hour or a year or 2 years, if you could take something from good to great, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you do that? Now, the interesting thing is that since that time, the book has been used for about 100 guys in small study groups.
Okay.
And so there have been occasions where 2 of the guys were thrown out of their house. I mean, thrown out.
All right.
When they showed up in the meeting, we had this on a Tuesday night, and 2 of the guys had been thrown out. Their wives said they want no part of them. And
before reading the book.
Before reading the book.
Before the intervention.
And the intervention, yeah. And halfway through, on step 5, one of the guys was allowed to come back in. And by the completion of for the other guy, he was totally brought back in. The wives saw major changes. And this is kind of like an inside-out book. It addresses 2 things. Internally, what's going on in a guy, and externally, what goes on in a woman. I mean, how does she receive it? Yeah. And it's been wonderful. I mean, I love the fact that most guys, and if you're listening to this and you're married and you want to improve it or you want to save it, most guys need a plan. They need a plan. It's like you and your wife says, you know, why don't you listen to me? Why don't you understand how I feel? You need a plan.
All right, well, let's go through this one at a time. Chapter 1, you have to listen to her.
Yes.
Now, one thing that I learned, it was actually at this Love and Respect seminar I went to. Women tend to look at each other when they're talking. Yeah. I mean, like, you know, really lock in. If you go to a deli or a cafe or something, when women are talking, they tend to be locked in. When men talk, it tends to be more shoulder to shoulder, and sort of focused more on an activity. Like for example, a guy can play a round of golf with another guy. They can go 18 holes, spend 4.5 hours together, not really say all that much, but enjoying the other guy's company because they're doing an activity shoulder to shoulder, and they're just doing stuff together.
Right.
It's not. Women have to be locked in. So I've found when I talk to my wife, step one, when you say listen to her, is the nonverbal communication. I better, if I remember, and I don't always remember, but make sure I got eye contact with her and I'm locked in and everything else is going to, it's terrible.
Well,
I'm the worst at it. I go to Outback Steakhouse. I try to get a table where there's like ESPN right here, so I can listen and still catch the Rangers game. By the way, I don't mean to be ADD on you. Rangers are up 2-1 over the Philadelphia Flyers. They win this game, they're in the playoffs. So go Rangers. Chris Drury, Connecticut youth hockey product. Listen to your wife.
Right. Let me,
do as I say, not as I do. Go ahead.
Okay. Most guys have jobs where they have to fix it, respond with solutions. I mean, okay? What happens is you go home and your wife is saying something and immediately you want to fix it. You want to tell her what to do before she even finishes. And that's not what this is about. This is about a chapter talking about how you really, really could listen to your wife and not give her a solution. As a matter of fact, I got to the point where I would say, Rita, you know, I just heard what you said. Do you want me to respond or just listen? And where this worked out was the company I used to work for, we used to spend thousands of dollars every year to send us on training seminars. And I remember I went to a listening seminar of all things. But I took home one thing, which was repeat what you hear. And I remember one time I walked in the door and Rita, who worked at a home decorating store, and it was a tough day. She'd on her feet all day. A lot of tough customers, a lot of returns. And she was verbalizing that to me. And I just looked her straight in the eye and I said, you know, it sounds like you really had a hard day. You're on your feet all day long. You had tough customers. It was stressful. And she looked at me in amazement. She said, wow, you were listening. You know, I didn't offer any solutions. I didn't offer any fixes. I just listened. And when you listen to someone, you know, I mean, you move into the next area, which is you value them. And that's, listening is key. And the cool thing about the chapter is it talks about why guys don't listen, so it addresses that. And it becomes very intentional. Guys need to be a little bit more intentional.
You're right. And this is borderline, you know, I don't want to get in trouble here, but I'm just gonna say it. Women and men think differently. Men are constantly locked into problem, solution, problem, solution, problem, solution. And ladies more, and I know this is a gross generalization, but ladies tend to be more, you know, wanting to talk the issue out, not necessarily have a solution to a specific problem, but just talk it out and talk it out. It was explained to me once too. That's one reason that men like watching sports on TV. You ever wonder that? Why? You know, why? Why are guys, can they sit there and watch the NFL like we're going to have a segment here halfway? Why can we sit there and watch hours and hours of football on TV, and generally speaking, ladies couldn't care less?
Well, you could tell me.
The answer that was told me was that when you watch football, you're watching problems and solutions. Okay, it's third and long. Are they going to do a draw play? Are they going to, you know, do a play action pass? What are they going to do? And you can forget about your own problem solutions over here, and you can find some kind of relaxation in watching football. Same thing with golf. Every hole.
You know, you just said it like golf, but you know that it takes practice to be good. I mean, you just don't become a piano player or a good golfer. It takes practice to be good at a relationship. And most men, there's no course in, you know, in college or anywhere that says, here, relations, you know, how to build a better relationship. So this is really intentional of doing it. Okay?
No, it's true. And I think if you understand a little bit the male brain versus the female brain, it tends to help. Okay, chapter 2. You value her. She is a priority.
Well, that goes back to what you said earlier. Value means when you come into a room and you're reading the paper, you know, put the paper down and give her attention. When I was 19, I bought this 1957 Corvette convertible. Beautiful. It was great. And I valued that big time. I mean, I took care of it. I waxed it. It was in the garage. It was great. Matter of fact, even as an adult, I have a dream occasionally where it's still in the garage. I mean, it just shows you how obsessive I was with this Corvette.
What year was the Corvette?
57 Corvette.
57.
Yeah, it was beautiful, baby blue, you know, nice. And And it's the same way. The way that I value that vet, why wouldn't I value my wife that way? Opening the door for her, putting down a paper when I'm, you know, when I give her eye contact. And there's stories in the book about how, you know, how you do that. But the idea is that you want to really see her value and be able to. I mean, most guys today are in companies where they're value stripping. This is the opposite of that. You really have to look at your wife as a value adder.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Chapter 3. Spend time with her.
Yes.
She's a priority.
Without a doubt. That convicted me because being customer driven, I was in sales for most of those 40 years. I would think about, you know, if someone said, hey, you got to come out here on make a presentation on a Friday and it's Thursday, I'd hop on an airplane. I was so focused for customers. I said, gee, why wouldn't I do the same for my wife? You know, why wouldn't I spend time with her? And so I had to make the transition of that. She's a priority and made her right at the top. When I started to do that, things started to change rather dramatically in our relationship, where she knew she was number one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can get, Bob, you can get a tight shot of this. Hopefully the sheen's not too bad. This is by an author named Gary Chapman. And it talks about you and your spouse speaking the same love language. You get to this a little bit later in the book when you talk about do things that
means something.
That means something. It means something to her. In this outline, this study, they went into the different types of love languages. And here are the 5 that they talk about. Maybe you can comment on it. Quality time, words of affirmation, gifts, presents, flowers, candy, acts of service, and physical touch.
I wonder how many wives are watching this right now saying, Joe, come in here. Listen to this guy.
Joe, get in here.
Come on.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing you need to do is find out what your spouse's love language.
Right. Well,
is it quality time? Is it words of affirmation? Joe, I need your significant other. Is it quality time, words of affirmation, gifts, acts of service, physical touch? Yeah. It's all of the above with Joe. Okay. Joe is our one of our crack producers here. Yeah. Well, but you need to understand your wife. What is her, you know, love language?
Sure. And that goes back to spending time. If you think about spending time with someone, you become a student of your wife. Right. And when you become a student of your wife, you could observe what is the deal. Like with Rita, my wife, it's acts of service and quality time. She just likes to talk with me, and she likes acts of service, which means doing some things that she doesn't like to do, that I could do, and intentionally doing those things. But it takes time.
There's plumbing the depths of the female mind is really incredible. I heard a story once about a young couple who had small children, and when the husband would give the small children a bath, I mean, these are like, you know, toddlers, 1, 2 years old, they give them a bath before bed. The wife thought this was the greatest thing in the world. You know, that my husband, it was just, she just felt romantic towards him. Yeah. And this was just an incredible thing, that the husband was giving the kids a bath, and this was her love language. It wasn't maybe flowers, it wasn't physical touch, it was, you know, giving the kids a bath. Yeah. Reminds me of a joke. Can I tell you a joke?
No, if you're right, because I want to.
Okay, go ahead.
That was good.
Sorry.
And that's the whole thing about spending time with her, because let's say your wife really acts of service, which is
that's what that would be.
You know, cleaning up or doing something, and meanwhile you're you know, buying her gifts,
right,
and spending money. Well, that means nothing to her. I mean, it doesn't even hit the scale.
Yeah.
You know, so here's a guy trying real hard, maybe with gifts or maybe wanting to spend time, but her deal is acts of service. Right. It's almost like all that effort's going nowhere. So by really studying your wife and, you know, and just opening up that communication and listening, they all blend together.
Yeah.
You want to move on to the next one before I tell you a bad joke?
Okay, probably best. All right, chapter 4.
Yes.
Moving ahead.
Acknowledge your worth. Say it.
Yeah. Acknowledge your worth. Say it. Yes.
Yeah. That looks like something like, first of all, what Rita came into the marriage, what she brought was a real generous spirit. She was much more generous than I was, which meant that she gave gifts more than I did. Family commitment was really big. And I never really acknowledged that for a long time in our marriage. But now it's easy for me to say is that because of her generosity, I become more generous. So it's acknowledging her worth, seeing what she brings to the relationship, and saying it and acknowledging it. It's huge, you know. Yeah.
Okay.
Laugh and enjoy her more.
Yes. Laugh and enjoy her more.
Yes.
There's a verse in the Bible that says, it's Jesus speaking, and he says, I came that you might have life and might have it more abundantly. I think when you talk about Christianity and having a personal relationship with Christ, it really is the essence of that abundant life, that joy. That's why I always hated that Billy Joel song where it said, you know, Catholic girls start much too late. I'd rather laugh with the sinners and cry with the saints, because sinners have much more fun. Only the good die young. I completely disagree with that.
Yeah,
my experience has been that it's really, you know, the Christians, those who are, you know, having this relationship with Christ, that are basing their relationship on that can turn to the Bible when it talks about don't let the sun go down on your anger. The Bible talks about love as not taking into account a wrong suffered.
Right.
And I guess the term there is almost like an accounting term, keeping a ledger.
Yeah.
I mean, over half the marriages end in divorce, and if you could just apply that one principle out of the Bible, don't keep a written ledger. Oh, I remember the time we were at my mother's house in '88 and, you know, you embarrassed me. Keeping a ledger. Yeah. If you can't let that stuff go, your marriage isn't going to have any, you know, chance at all. Yeah. So when you talk about love and laugh and enjoy her more, to me, I wrote down in the margin John 10:10. I came you might have life and have it more abundantly.
Well, this particular book has lots of scriptural references that key into exactly what you've said. Yeah. But the whole idea too is to be able to take yourself a lot lighter. It took a long time for me to get light about, you know, admitting when I'm wrong, and promptly admitting when I'm wrong. And I'll tell you, you know, in 2005 we did a great kind of like Italy vacation, and it was outstanding. But just for kicks, we were on this tour bus and we had passed something that I thought was a Trevi Fountain. So I looked out of the window. I said, "Oh, that's the Trevi Fountain." I wanted to show off a little bit.
What town was this in? What city?
Gosh, I guess it's Rome, right? That's where the Trevi Fountain is.
Okay.
And she says, "No, it's the so-and-so fountain." And I go, "No, it's the Trevi Fountain." I no longer got that out of my mouth when the driver said, "It's the fountain that she said." So I said, "Rita, you know, I was wrong. You were right." This woman behind me said, "I have never heard a man admit he was wrong. Could you say that again?" And you know, and just being able to have fun with that, you know, that I was wrong, you know, and being able to take it a little bit lighter. The key too in this particular chapter talks about what's the beam in our eye and taking the beam out of our eye, so you're able to laugh and enjoy it more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Hold on a second, please.
Caller, you're on the air. Hello.
Hi.
Yes, you're on the air.
Hi, this is Jake.
Hey, Jake, how you doing?
Doing well, thanks. I've just been enjoying your program a whole lot, and in the interest of disclosure, need to say that I know John and that I've worked for this book with him.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you know what I really wanted to say to everybody who's watching is what struck me so hard about this book is discovery of how we can say we love our wives, we can say I love you to them, and then everything else we do communicates non-verbally to them, perhaps that thing, but oftentimes other things. And 10 Steps have been so great at pointing out to me how selfish I've been, how much I put all the emphasis in the relationship on myself, and like always holding the TV remote, silly things. My wife would tell me places she wants to visit, and I'm always not necessarily interested in going to take these little trips with her and things like that. And it really opened my eyes to that kind of the need to put the emphasis on her frequently and to let her know that I really enjoy her as well.
Yeah, hey Jake,
Wow.
I just want to say that you were one of the quick learners. If I could just share, Jake and two other guys about Jake's age, myself, we meet on a weekly basis, and we went through this book together. We had a lot of fun, and it was convicting for me too, because if you write it, you have to do it. So thanks for calling in, Jake.
Yeah, and you know, the other thing that I really wanted to say is that it's important that people know that this book is 100% non-manipulative.
Yes.
The idea is not behind how to get your wife to love you the way you want to be loved. It's about loving them properly. It's not about getting them to do the things that we want for us. The payoff is loving them properly.
Wow. Yeah, I couldn't have said it better, Jay. Could not have said it better.
Thanks, buddy.
Well, thanks a lot. Thanks for calling in. Appreciate it.
Say hi to Gene for me.
Will do. Take care.
Bye.
We had the book up there, the cover of it. The book is 10 Transforming Life Series, Capturing the Heart of Your Wife,
yes,
by John D. Pasquale. And on the second half of the program, we're going to put up my email address, heiserhouse@aol.com. And if you want a copy of your very own, we have secured them at a reduced price. And I'll know the price when we come back after the break. But you can get your very own copy of 10 Transforming Life Series, Capturing the Heart of Your Wife, by author John D. Pasquale. Right now, we're going to break for the news and weather. And then we'll come back with more with John and talk a little bit about what's coming up next week as well. So without any further ado, our crack meteorologist, weather, and sports. And now, with the news, weather, and sports, Jim Masters, Jared Root, and Austin Greenfield.
Good evening and welcome. We're going to continue with Ideas at Work and Beyond with Marty Heiser. But first, this is the latest Comcast Channel 23 news update. I'm Jim Masters. In a moment, we'll have sports with Austin Greenfield and weather with Jared Root. Take a look at the 5-day forecast. A Fairfield County family used government food stamps to access hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they pleaded guilty in exchange for avoiding prison. They had been using food stamps while they were wealthy. 52-year-old Martin Ho of New Canaan pleaded guilty to larceny Wednesday in Norwalk Superior Court. Now, Ho has been sentenced to 3 years probation as of June 17th, and he can pay nearly $13,000 in restitution and a $4,000 fine. Prosecutor Suzanne Vo opposed the plea deal. She says Ho should serve prison time for defrauding state government out of $12,000 worth of food stamps in 2006-2007. State authorities also say that when Ho and his family were using the food stamps, he once had a business account with a balance that rose as high as $324,000 and another investment account that had up to $114,000 in it. That's quite a story. Now let's take you over to the Sports Center with Austin Greenfield. What's happening in sports today, Austin?
Well, Jim, the NFL schedule is set for release. We have the draft coming up by April. And the diehard fans like Jared here,
sure.
They'll want to know what's coming up, who's playing who, what the matchups are for this coming year. It's going to be very interesting.
Take us through it.
Yes, I will. NFL schedule is set for release. This is a story by ESPN.com. The NFL draft is 3 weeks away. Next Tuesday, fans will find out when they'll get to see their team's draft picks for the first time. The NFL schedule will be released Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time in prime time for the first time. The entire 2009 regular season schedule, including sites and times for all 256 regular season games, will be released. The NFL earlier announced Week 1's primetime games and Thanksgiving Day games. The Steelers will host the Titans on Thursday, September 10th in the season opener. The opening Sunday night game will feature the 178th meeting between the Bears and Packers in Green Bay on Sunday night, September 13th. On Monday, the night doubleheader on ESPN on September 14th will feature Buffalo with Terrell Owens at New England, with the Patriots' hope of returning with Tom Brady. That game will be followed by San Diego at Oakland, all original AFL franchises. The Dallas Cowboys and Detroit Lions get to keep their traditional Thanksgiving hosting slots. The Lions go back to meeting the Packers that day, a matchup that occurred every year from 1951 to 63 and will be happening for the 19th time. The Raiders will be at the Cowboys following that, and the NFL Network's night game will feature the New York Giants at Denver. The NFL's exhibition season begins August 9th in Canton, Ohio, where the Buffalo Bills will play the Tennessee Titans in the Pro Football Hall of Fame game. The Cowboys will play for the first time in their new $1.1 billion stadium August 21st, facing the Titans.
Fantastic.
So it's going to definitely be a great season, and I can't wait.
Absolutely. You'll keep us posted, I'm sure, as
Definitely.
well. Jared, nice day today. We got up to like the upper 50s, but we've got some colder weather and rain coming for the weekend.
Yeah, unfortunately, this Easter weekend coming up, as you know, a big holiday for a lot of people.
That's right. We want to wish everybody happy Passover and Easter as well.
Happy Passover, Easter, everybody. Fortunately, Easter doesn't look too bad, but could be a little better. I'll get that to the end of the forecast.
Okay.
Let's take a look at our high temperature for today. We had a high temperature of 59 degrees. We had a low temperature, very cold this morning, 25 degrees is the low temperature. But the good thing is today we had no precipitation. Unlike yesterday, we had actually some snow flurries.
That's right.
Snow showers moved through the area, but that's just a little teaser. I mean, it's not going to be, we're not going backwards into winter.
No more shovels, right?
No shovels. So, but definitely as we go into our weather headlines, you're going to want to keep that jacket handy for tonight. Getting down to the lower 30s or below freezing tonight as we did last night. So keep that jacket handy for tonight. And for your Friday, we have not that good in terms of weather. Not that good Friday. Tomorrow, we're going to start out with a tiny bit of sunshine, but the clouds are going to quickly move in, and by late in the afternoon, we'll have some rain start to move in. It's going to be a damp rush hour commute, especially if you're going to any of your relatives or any of your Easter destination.
Yeah, sure.
So you have the umbrella handy if you're going outside. And Easter weekend looks to be 50-50 at this point. So let's get to our forecast for tonight. We have a low temperature of 30 Bethel, 33 in Danbury, and 31 in Ridgefield. A few clouds around, but chilly tonight. Keep that jacket handy, as I said earlier. For your Friday, we have early sun, followed by clouds and late afternoon rain. I expect this to come just about when rush hour starts tomorrow afternoon. High temperatures in the mid to upper 50s, 56 Bethel, 57 Danbury, and 57 in Ridgefield. Here is your 5-day forecast. Saturday, we got rain, occasional rain throughout the day. Cooler temperatures, highs only in the upper 40s, 49 is your high temperature. But when that clears out late Saturday afternoon and our skies clear out, our temperature is going to drop for the overnight hours. Look at that low temperature, 29 degrees. But Sunday, your Easter Sunday, we have, looks like clouds and some sunshine. I think going to be more sunshine in the afternoon, but clouds are going to increase by the afternoon. But it's going to be dry, though. It's a good thing for Ed Magoon, some Easter egg hunts outside. So we had a high temperature of 50 degrees on Sunday. After a morning low of 22 on Monday, we bounced back up to 53 degrees for your high temperature. And Tuesday, we'll have some sunshine followed by some clouds and a few showers developing by late in the afternoon with a high temperature of 55 degrees. So, Jim, we have another, as I said last week and the week before, up and down weather.
That's April in New England, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Well, thanks for that full forecast. Again, we want to wish everybody the best of the holidays as well. That's our report for now. I'm Jim Masters with Austin Greenfield and Jared Root. For everybody at Comcast Cable Channel 23, thanks for watching. Much more of Ideas at Work and Beyond coming right up. Stay right there.
Welcome back to Ideas at Work and Beyond. Next week, it seems like we have a parade of authors coming through, but next week we have the author of Dying to Live, the Reverend Dr. Clive Calver will be in to talk about his book. This is a newly released book talking about the Christian life and the example of Christ dying on the cross. And it talks a lot about if a seed doesn't die and go into the ground, it'll never spring forth and have life. Clive Calver is a renowned preacher. He's originally born and raised in England. He was the head of the Evangelical Association for England. He was also the president of World Relief, which is a worldwide non-governmental organization that essentially helps people in the developing countries, and also where there have been tragedies like typhoons and floods. And generally, it's a huge organization, and he was president of that for many years. But now he's a senior pastor at Walnut Hill Community Church. And while we have it, we get a tight shot of this. These are the services for Walnut Hill going for this coming Sunday. I personally attend Walnut Hill. It's a great church. I'll be at the 9:30 service on the left side. I don't know if we can get a tight shot of that, but it'll be on the left side of the sanctuary. It's a wonderful church, and I hope you can go. Walnut Hill Community Church. They're the times in Bethel, Connecticut, on Walnut Hill Road. Easter services are 8 a.m., 9:30, 11, and 6 p.m. And they also have a Wild Bang Zoom Saturday night service. Come as you are, 5 p.m. That's very popular as well. So I hope you can come this Sunday. They're expecting over 3,000 people coming because Easter, Christmas, those are the big times. So Walnut Hill, and then next week, Dr. Reverend Clive Calver with his book, Dying to Live, will be joining us in studio for the whole hour, so you won't want to miss that as well. Okay,
all right. Back
to saving all the marriages in the greater Danbury area.
Well, first I got to tell you, I appreciate your good questions.
Good.
And your insights, really good.
Well, I read the book.
Yeah, no, I know.
I mean, it's funny because my wife sort of knows your wife a bit.
Yeah.
And she spilled the beans that I was reading this book, and I was, doing acts of service and bringing her flowers and, trying to communicate better with her. And so I think the wives are going to go out and buy a lot of copies of this book.
Well, it's tricky on how to get to my husband, but, I mean, that's just,
No, it's been very good. Okay, so laugh and enjoy her more.
Yeah.
We talked about that.
Yeah.
John 10:10 came that you might have life. Billy Joel is way off track.
Yes.
Says the other thing. Accept her as she is, and don't try to change her.
Yeah, that's a biggie. Matter of fact, I remember years and years ago, there was a pastor in our church that did a whole sermon on celebrate the differences. And I remember when I heard that, I go, oh, what do you mean celebrate the differences? Most of my married life, at least the first 10 years, I really tried to make Rita more like me. And I remember one time she looked at me and
How'd
she
that
said,
work out?
Well, not good. She looked at me and she said, if I become more like you, one of us won't be needed.
Ooh, okay.
And that's when I started to really kind of like, how do you celebrate the differences? And I am so glad that I did that, because her differences, I mean, she's much more involved in detail. She's a great decorator. She just listens. She's much more focused, and has been a great help to me. And accepting her as she is. Now I know she's not watching this.
Okay.
But when I got married, like most of the guys who got married, after their wives, my wife had a phenomenal shape. Now, I'm going to be walking on touchy ground, so trust me.
You're on your own.
Check,
please. Check. Gotta go. Listen, you take it on home. I'll be over here. No, go ahead.
Well, no, outstanding shape. I mean, most guys are real visual. And 3 children, and X amount of years later, there was some.
She still looks great.
Yeah, and me being a shallow guy, shallow, and I'll fess up to that. Wanted her to lose weight, and in my old ways before 10, I would drop hints like, exercising is so good for you. I know it's bad.
This is bad. Okay.
And I would drop those, and nothing worked. As a matter of fact, it was like, like the more I probably said it, now I know the more I said that, the more I was communicating to her that she was missing the mark, right?
Yeah.
When I started to get this into my system and accept her as she is, and just love her for who she was. I mean, and she's still in a great shape. She's a great personality. So many more things about her, right? All of a sudden, I remember it was like 2 or 3 months after that happened. She said, I just want to, maybe I'll work out this week or something. Maybe go for a walk. And again, when Jake called before and said this is not about being manipulative, it was really dropping my whole agenda and just loving from my heart.
Okay.
And for guys, it might sound complicated, but it's really not, and this kind of like makes it simple. So that's
all right.
The show of compassion is next.
Okay,
I'll
show her compassion.
I'll let you go to that one.
No, let's go to show her compassion.
Yeah. Well, the book, fortunately, talks a lot about failures and successes. So it kind of like covers the realm of, you know, things I did right and things I did wrong.
Right.
And I remember when she had foot surgery, I wasn't around. Now, this is back about 10 years. And my son, Peter, was really the guy that took her to the hospital, took her home. And, I mean, he was really, really there for her. And I was traveling and didn't even understand the amount of pain that was involved with the surgery. And I remember years later, you know, just nonchalantly, she just mentioned to me how that really hurt her, you know, that I wasn't around. Well, you know, I made that a part of the showing her compassion part, was that probably it was 1995 or 96 when her dad and mom came up to our place to stay. We had a little cottage. And during that time, he got real sick and his health started to deteriorate. And ultimately, that was the summer that he passed away. But prior to that, I was available 100%. I blocked out everything from my schedule. I said, I'm not going to miss this moment. And with guys, it's the same thing. It's like there are certain moments that, you know, that are no big deal. They'll repeat. But there are certain moments that once you miss, it's kind of like stamped in your wife forever. And it could be, you know, a special anniversary. It could be something that you've promised that you've. So showing compassion really wraps around the whole idea of, you know, being aware of those special moments and not blowing it. Yeah.
That's good. That's very convicting for me. I mean, even it may seem, you know, small, but when my wife goes through a lot of effort to make a meal, the family meal, I mean, it is important that you are there, and that you're on time. Yeah, you're there on time, and that you're not, you know, one more thing on the, you know, one more email or one, you know, just wait a minute. That's good stuff. Okay, the next chapter. What's
enjoy your life together.
There you go.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Now here in this one, you know, I have a lot of different little illustrations.
Yes.
But the big one is your thought life. What happens is guys tend, I mean, particularly in this economy, you could obsess a little bit and have your thoughts go into a lot of different places. So I give a lot of little tools and techniques on how to take thoughts captive, because thoughts are the things that could rob you. And I'll give you a small example on the wife's side. We had a fellow who had a cleaning company, would clean our offices out. And one time he told me, he said, oh yeah, he said, oh, I just think about, you know, really attractive women. My wife isn't that attractive, so I think about attractive women all the time. And I said, you know, you really do your wife a disservice when you do that. He says, no, it doesn't hurt anybody. It's in my mind. I said, yeah, but when you do that in your mind, every time you look at your wife and she misses the mark, you know, you're the one who comes up short. And so this chapter really focuses about really that thought life. And taking those things captive, and it goes to letting your thoughts about, you know, worrying about business that you have nothing to, you couldn't do about it. During the last few years of my career, the sales in our business was just horrible. And I'd wake up at 3 in the morning and that thought would go on, and I would say, you know, John, at 3 in the morning, I can't do a thing about that. You know, and go to bed and enjoy the. So it's a lot of tools in here on how to take thoughts captive and how to enjoy the moment and then enjoy your wife.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay.
I just put in when I was reading, I put a little Bible verse in the corner. 2 Thessalonians 5:16 and 18 says, "Rejoice always, pray without ceasing, and everything give thanks." And if you have that, you know, rejoicing always, constantly in prayer. It just, I think, kind of talks about
without a doubt. And those are the tools. That's come of the good tools.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. You know, I think throughout the book, there's an appeal to, I guess, the 12-step program is, you know, your higher being or something like that. But there's an appeal that, you know, this isn't just kind of psychological or some sort of you know, book strictly on relationships. You're not going through this alone. You have an example in Jesus Christ. You have the Word of God. You have fellowship with other Christians. You know, it's if you could say it takes a village to raise a child, and in essence, it takes a village to keep a marriage together too. You have family, you have brothers and sisters in the church, and I think that's what comes through in your book too. This isn't, you know, just you and your wife out there, but there's also a community and your relationship with God.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. You're a good interviewer, by the way. You really do that well.
Really?
Yeah, good. You're good.
Okay.
Because that,
you're just not affirming and appreciating me.
Because that's the core of you can't do this alone. I make there's a thread throughout the entire book that you need to have God as your partner.
Yeah.
That self-will get you so far. And I might be talking to the guy who said, I've tried to love my wife. I've tried. You know, if you can't, he can. And by meaning he can, God can. And those are the times whether you turn your life and your will over the care of God, particularly if you're in a difficult relationship. All I could do is tell you right now that divorce is far more costly than you could imagine. The rippling effect and the damage it does. You know, you do this for 90 days and your marriage will be revolutionary, turned around. And yourself, it'll eliminate a lot of health issues for sure. But the premise of the book is you can't do it alone, that God's part of it. The other thing that you made reference to is behind every chapter there's like a questions.
Yeah.
And there are to-dos. So what's really cool and what we do in these in the groups that we put together is that, you know, you do the questions together.
Here's an example, like, what continually negative or dishonoring thoughts go through your head? Have you acknowledged them? What steps have you taken to restore your thought life?
Yeah.
Share best practices in the group of what really works in each area. Spiritual warfare, studying your wife, dates or occasions that she's loved.
Yeah.
You know, so if you had this is also designed to be in a group study.
Without a doubt.
And you have the
Yeah.
group that they're going, hey,
Sure.
you know, I surprised my wife at work and carried her off like that movie Officer and a Gentleman. She
Yeah.
loved it. You know,
Well, you're right. And most of the best practices is that in a group dynamic, and even if you just get one other guy, a good friend, and say, hey, I got to work with a guy, it is amazing on how many good ideas are out there.
Yeah.
And it just builds on itself.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't criticize her, right?
That's, yeah, which gets back to your, don't criticize her, appreciate her.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, now that's a simple one. I mean, I used to have a friend who said, well, I'm just honest. I want to just tell it like it is.
Yeah.
Well, I want you to hear what I'm saying. Honesty without compassion is brutality.
Ooh, say that again?
Honesty without compassion is brutality.
Ooh.
And if you think you're an honest guy and you have the right to it, you just need to stop that. Because anytime you're critical, and critical can mean, you know, criticizing, you know, cooking or this or hairdo or whatever. What you're doing is you're really closing down your wife's spirit. And this chapter is all about looking for the good, making it intentional to look for the good. And I got to tell you, probably out of all of the things that are the most difficult for certain guys to do is to stop a critical spirit. And I'm going to talk to you. If you've got a critical spirit, I got to tell you, if you don't address it, now it'll just get worse. And this chapter gives you lots of good tools. Some are spiritually based, some are just good practical tools, but they do work. But the whole idea is really capturing that so you don't close your wife's spirit.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when you get, and again, there's a verse in the Bible, 1 Corinthians 13. It's the love passage. It says, you know, love is patient, love is kind, love does not boast, love is not arrogant, does not seek its own.
Yes.
That's a good one for religion.
Yeah.
Does not take into account a wrong suffered, which is getting to your critical spirit.
Yeah.
You know, if you're in a relationship and you're constantly critical of, oh, you always do this, you're always this way, I know you, your mother said you were rotten.
It's like acid pouring out of flowers.
I mean, you can really, I mean, like, that saying, you know, mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy.
Yeah.
And it's true.
Yeah. Like going back to the scriptural part, and you know, either God is or God isn't. And in Marty's life and my life, and many people I know, many guys, God has really transformed us from the inside out. And if you have a critical spirit, you know, ask God to help. You know, ask God to help. If you have a marriage that's not doing well, and maybe you're having a hard time just really making that commitment to love your wife deeper, ask God to give you the desire for your wife. He is quick to respond to faith.
Excellent. Okay, do things. Chapter 10. We got to the.
Okay, yeah, that's a.
Do things for her that mean something to her.
Yes.
Now, Joe took my copy of those love languages. They were right here. Joe, you know, was pretty into that. We need to interview Joe.
Yeah.
So if Joe can bring those back, that'd be good. But acts of service.
Yep.
Physical touch. Words of encouragement.
Yeah.
Time spent, and it just acts of service, gifts.
Gifts.
That's the one.
Yeah,
Because see now, gifts have never meant much to me. Never.
Yeah.
I mean, I get Christmas morning, you get the socks, you get the underwear, you get a dopey sweater.
Gifts don't do it
if
for
I
you.
need something, I'll go buy it,
Yeah.
and I'll know, and I'll get exactly.
Well, what
I
does
need.
it for Caroline?
Oh, gifts are big, and
Yeah.
the thing is, it isn't one big gift. Like it isn't. Hey, I bought you a horse. You should be happy for a year. Hey, I bought you a house.
Yeah.
You should be set. It's a small little. It's the flowers at the end of work. It's the. I thought of you, and here's, you can pick up these roses at gas stations everywhere. They're right by the checkout thing.
Yeah.
But it's the perpetual, just the thought reflected in a gift over and over again. It's not one big gift, and you're good for the year. No. You got to keep coming and keep coming. So gifts are certainly more.
Yeah, and they could be little gifts. Matter of fact, I'm going to share. This year, I did the best Valentine deal that I ever did.
Okay.
And I can't take credit for the idea because it was my son Jared, who lives in Chicago and he's married. And I was struggling, and he said, well, what he did was he cut out lots of hearts on 8.5 by 11 paper. So I cut out 50 of them, and I put a word on each one. I printed it: joyous, considerate, loving, patient, kind, all the character traits of her. And early in the morning, I got up and I put the hearts like a floor, through the house to the chair where there was her favorite cup of coffee and the special lotion, right? So she gets up in the morning and she follows this heart path. Now I got to tell you, maybe under $10, I mean from a cost standpoint, but from an impact standpoint, she collected all those 50 hearts with those words in it and saves it,
John, this is like a class. And you're wrecking the curve. You're telling us here. You're wrecking the curve. Because now I gotta come over this.
But I wanted to communicate that even when it comes to gifts and doing things, it's really not about price. It's really about the value of what you've done. And for the reference or I think the example I use in the book is that, again, going back, and these steps all build on each other. Of studying my wife, asking her the right questions. She really loves gardening. I mean, actually, she's taking a master gardening class, and next week is the final, and she's home studying. But she loves gardens, and I remember saying to her, well, what do you say we go to the Rockefeller Estate?
Go ahead.
And so, I planned the whole time to go down to Terrytown. We went to the Rockefeller Estate. She loves historical things. It was a great, great time, and, it was something that was memorable that I did for her.
You studied your wife. The book, again, is 10. The author is John D. Pasquella. The 10, again, are, and by the way, Heiser House at AOL.com. Heiser
How do you
House.
spell that?
Heiser House at AOL.com if you want more information. The 10 are: listen to her, value her, she's a priority, spend time with her, she's a priority, acknowledge her worth, say it, laugh and enjoy her more, accept her as she is, show her compassion, enjoy your life together, don't criticize, appreciate her, do things for her that mean something. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being here.
Great. Pleasure always.
Next week, we've got Dying to Live with the Right Reverend Dr. Clive Calver coming in. And this Easter, for goodness sakes, go to your house of worship. And if you don't have anywhere else to go, join me at Walnut Hill Community Church. Services 8, 9:30, 11, and 6 p.m. We'll see you at church. We'll see you next week. And thanks for watching Ideas at Work and Beyond.